sky turned black, the stars fell down. United we stand, but we're losing ground. One world beneath the iron fist. Voices silenced, they cease to resist. Echoes of hope in the darkening night. Fading whispers of a long lost life. Rise up, hear the call to arms. In this storm of chaos we'll find our charms. Together we'll fight through the ashes and dust. A phoenix reborn in our hearts' purest trust. The sirens wail through the desolate towns. Once proud nations painted in the scars of the crown. A single army marching on our dreams. Unity forged in despair, or so it seems. Nothing left but shadows drifting away as the last embers of freedom decay. Rise up, hear the call to arms. In this storm of chaos we'll find our charms. Together we'll fight through the ashes and dust. A phoenix reborn in our hearts' purest trust. One global army, together we stand. In the fall of the world, we'll make our last stand.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Sunday, Supernatural Sunday Coffee Talk. I'm Nighthawk, and we've got Eric patiently waiting backstage here for us. Well, not backstage. He's actually on the stage, but he's muted temporarily because I got to go through all the rigmaroles to protect this channel from all the trolls and rhinos and bots out there and AI that censors this channel on a regular basis. Including today, as a matter of fact, to let everybody know that while we were backstage talking, I lost equipment twice. I was actually kicked off my own stage multiple times backstage talking to Eric on the platform, okay, about certain subjects that we were going to discuss today that are, yes, are sensitive subjects, are somewhat connected to the supernatural and to some of the stuff going on today, and some other, stuff related to just what guys talk about. And I got kicked off my own channel. Imagine that. So we are going to be hitting some sensitive subjects today, folks. Hang in there. If I have problems, we will come back on because we always do. They can shut me down temporarily, but they can't shut me up. Plain and simple. They can shut Eric down temporarily, but they cannot shut him up. Okay. They can shut you down temporarily, but they cannot shut you up. Okay. That's where we stand. Okay. Let's remember that, because we're family. And as long as family sticks together, nothing can shut us up. All right. Let's get into some sensitive subjects after I get through the disclaimers. Okay. Copyright disclaimer. And I have to do this because a lot of the stuff on the podcast is my own original stuff. The music, the outros, the intros, and what we talk about, opinions and viewpoints and conspiracy theories and whatnot. And a lot of the research is my own 100% owned, full rights to it. But sometimes I play videos and stuff from other shows, that reflect certain ideals, okay, that we are talking about. So I have to do the copyright disclaimer every time we come on. Okay. This channel may use some copyrighted material without specific authorization of the owner, but contends that it falls under the fair use, which, by the way, is the Copyright Act of 1976. Nighthawk High Strands, this podcast channel, and all the podcasts on the channel declare fair use under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, which makes allowances for fair use for purposes such as criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, research, parody, and let's not forget the entertainment value under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, otherwise known herein as the Fair Use Act. Okay. That being said, I'm going to pop this up. Okay. This is something I had to do lately in order to protect myself and the channel. As always, I claim fair use of all content under the Copyright Act of 1976. Furthermore, I wish to acknowledge that not all opinions and theories mentioned during the podcast are not necessarily the opinions or viewpoints of Nighthawk High Strangeness podcast channel, or AKA William Nighthawk. Okay. We at the Nighthawk High Strangeness YouTube channel and Facebook channels merely bring an open format to discuss the possibilities of topics happening in the past, present, and future. Please join Nighthawk High Strangeness YouTube channel family by subscribing, and please hit the like button. Join the chat family, being respectful, and please put all questions in capital letters. Okay. And that's just the start of what I have to write up. There's more to it in the future, but yeah, I've got to do this with AI and all that, and the censorship. Okay. They are still trying to basically demonetize this channel, folks. So that's been having to have a battle with them every time I put up a live or even a video, where they automatically demonetize it and don't make it public until I have to go in and change it manually, because I have to fight for it. So if they tell you, and if they're blowing sunshine up your ass saying censorship is dead, they're full of shit. Plain and simple. Okay. That being said, all right. That says that, and we're going to get into the thick of it. Come on. Come on, you can do it. There we go. Let me unmute. Oh, there we go. We're losing each other here. Okay, and we got Eric's mic on. All right, so we are a go, Eric. Go, go, go. And I don't know. I know you were did last night, and we talked about some sensitive subjects last night too. But we're not just going to start off with that today. We got a couple other things I want to talk about too, that hit me like a brick wall this morning, and we're going to get into it. Okay. And if by chance you all lose the channel, we will come back. Okay. So just be patient. They love messing with us, especially when we talk about certain subjects. And it's going to get pretty heavy today. Okay. So just bear with us. Smash that like button. Make sure you're still subscribed and hit that bell icon. And we're going to get this show on the road. I wanted to bring up the theory today, along with the open mic section part of the podcast today, with everybody coming on. I wanted to bring up the theory of what a lot of people are talking about what happened in 2012. Okay, the conspiracy theory about the world ending in 2012 and how it basically affects us and how it's affecting us today. Why we are seeing everything that we're seeing or experiencing. We're experiencing, okay, especially the supernatural encounters, the stuff that just can't be categorized as physical, okay. And we all know that from paranormal investigations, and Eric, you know for a fact too, that those investigations have ramped up, okay, here lately.
Oh, yeah.
Especially after 2012. And it's one of the theories out there is that 2012 did end. Okay. And apparently the way the theory goes is that we are all unalived and we're living this extension of ourselves, because it's been proven that after we're on 11 to 10 minutes, okay, and sometimes even longer, but those apparently, from what certain scientists are talking about, Kaku, are describing it as a possibility of our brain, when we are unalive from this body, our brain doesn't assume time anymore. Dates don't matter. Daylight, nighttime doesn't matter. Months don't matter. Years don't matter. So 7 to 10 minutes inside the brain could feel like reliving an entire lifetime over again. Okay. Or, the possibilities, like a computer, slowly booting down. Okay. Which kind of made sense, and the scientist that I brought up, very brilliant guy. Okay, here he is. He said it best, that basically we are, let me see if I can find it on my phone. Watch me not be able to find it now. The way things have been going this morning. Okay. Michio Kaku says parallel universes exist like multiple radio stations. There might be a dinosaur or an alien in your living room, but you don't see them because you are tuned only to one frequency. Okay, meaning you're vibrating in sync with one version of reality. He suggests that just like there are many radio stations available, there could be countless parallel universes. Other realities exist, but you're not experiencing them because you are no longer on the same vibration as those parallel universes. It is a way of understanding that multiple realities could exist at the same time, but you experience only one. Okay? Kind of makes sense. And it's kind of like what I was talking about since day one with this podcast, about the different levels of realities or realms stacked on top of each other like a stack of papers with maybe a small gap in between each layer. Okay. And how each paper would be a different parallel world or realm or whatever you want to call it, dimension. Okay. And there could be countless numbers of them. And I know, oh, yeah, there's only 11 or 12 realms, you know, or dimensions because it was scientifically proven. Sorry, that's BS. I don't believe it. You know, I think on a of based on the alpha and the omega, there is no beginning and no end, plain and simple. Okay. I think that the theory of 2012 was a pretty sound theory, but what if it was in a parallel world or dimension of our realm where our other self passed away and the spirit or whatever transferred over into the current realm that we're in? Okay. And that's why a lot of this weird stuff that people are seeing, certain heightened abilities have happened. Okay. Maybe we gained that psychic link from that other us in the other realm combined with us in this realm to have these innate abilities to have these. Okay. And this is just a theory. Okay. I don't know, Eric, what do you think about that?
So, I mean, I can see the merit on. I'm not one that really jumps on that bandwagon, but I can see what they're coming from on that, and definitely on the possibility category. Um, I don't think that we were unalive in 2012. Now, could different dimensions merged and became one, and now we are witnessing things that are different? I mean, the Mandela effect kind of proves that point right there. That's just my opinion on it. You had a couple questions here too. Corey once
Okay,
said,
go
"William,
ahead
did you
with the
feel something
questions.
strange?" Corey says, "William, did you feel something strange in 2012? I almost lost my mind that year."
Yes, that's true. There was something happened, whether it was a vibrational change, a frequency change. I do believe. I guess the best way to describe it is take a look at the picture of the planet Earth next to Mishu Kaku. Okay, in this picture, in this illustration. You see the illustration of the planet, the globe. Okay. The best way to describe it is that in 2012 we went through some type of a link or a transition to where possibly one reality of our world completely died off, and the remaining energy from that world transferred to this one and to our human species in this one. The remaining energies from the human species from the parallel world that ended transferred to us. Okay. And that's why a lot of people have been having because if you think about it, a lot of the supernatural and paranormal activity, it heightened right around 2012. It got super active. Okay. People started experiencing so much more than what they encountered in the 90s or even in 2000. Okay. Come 2012, things changed. Something stepped up. It turned that psychic volume, that supernatural volume or that spectrum scale from like a 1 or a 2 to like a 20. Okay. And it keeps on getting more and more and more. And I do believe that there could have been possibly a shift or a transference of energies from a parallel universe that died off in 2012. That's just my opinion, folks. Okay. But, yes, Corey, I do believe something did happen.
Soundwave has a question. Wouldn't reality be different on different planets? And for me, that's always, it's possible they could. I mean, it could be the same, just slightly different, but in some aspect, it's going to be different.
Well, there's the thing, okay? There's the thing. Now, when you take in the whole Mandela theory, okay, effect, okay, and the whole glitch in the matrix thing, are those the possible changes that occur when we shift from one reality to another? Yes, they could be.
Yeah.
Okay. So, that being said, yes, you may experience a certain body ache in a certain area of your body that you never experienced before, or you may remember a vehicle, a certain color, and now it's something different, or a certain business that used to exist that doesn't exist anymore, a certain logo, or even a certain flag of a country, little minute things that could pop up occasionally in your reality to show you that, hey, wake up, something happened. You know, that could be. It very well could be.
I think that was it on the questions. So people bringing up some good points in here, which I agree. Internet has a portion to play in why we're seeing an uptick in cryptid, paranormal, supernatural. More people are opened up to it. More people are accepting to it. More people are actually taking notice and getting evidence of it. But I don't think that is the main part of it. Something has changed. I mean, look at our environment, look at our social norm, look at everything dealing with life. It's all altered and changed. So
I
I don't
mean,
know if that's part of it, but
yeah, I mean, you want my yeah, you want my full, opinion on the matter, which is worth about a crock of shit if you ask me. But my own opinion and from my own research into the whole, scenario 2012 was that, think about it, the heightened activity from CERN was kicked up, where they were messing with things that they shouldn't have been messing with. Now, what if CERN caused the reality shift? Okay. What if CERN knew
yeah,
that they screwed up the reality shift and they had to shift us into some other parallel universe quicker than normal, and they
that-
kind of threw us into this one? That's also another aspect to look at it too. That they caught.
oh, okay, good. There you are. I'm sorry. We heard it sounded like you got cut off, so I thought we lost you for a second. Uh, yeah, I mean that's definitely that's something I'm kind of leaning towards. And the fact that they're wanting to do it again is like, what's going to happen next? I mean, you done jacked us up once. Now, what the hell are you going to do to us?
Exactly, exactly. And I want to get back to that. Was David's question there in caps? Let's go back to David's question, in capital
Yeah,
letters there about the 60 mile an hour to
right
12
there.
mile an hour. That's where you have to consider that unless you go faster than the speed of light, um, things aren't going to change. Things won't shift just because you break a sound barrier in, say, you doing a Mach 4 in a jet, or a Mach 3 in a jet, doesn't mean that you're going to be going so fast that you can actually shift your reality. There is going to be a point where you will shift your reality, but I don't think we as humans have reached that technology yet. And if we have, they're keeping it from us. Okay. Um, which could account for a lot of the UAP and UFO sightings that we see lately. You never know. Just maybe all the aerial phenomena that we're seeing could be connected to a lot of the UAP and UFO activity that we've seen lately that's ramped up. Okay. Maybe they're going beyond those speeds per hour, are causing temporary, I don't know what you would call it, like a vortex opening where time will shift temporarily and then revert back to what it was. Okay. Kind of like, they sell these magnetic curtains. Okay. Kind of like going through these magnetic curtains in a doorway. You open them up, and then once you walk past it and you let go of them, they automatically close behind you. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that theory when you deal with temporary vortexes. Okay. Where you can enter through something temporarily and be in that time frame for an undetermined amount of time, 3 hours in that realm. Okay. But 3 seconds in your world. Okay. If that makes sense. Okay. So when we talk about
like
these things happen where people walk into portals and stuff, it's not unusual to see things happening. Why people walk off and disappear in the middle of a you see footprints stopping in the middle of a field, it's not unusual to think that happens. There's multiple hundreds, if not thousands of cases worldwide where that has happened. Okay. Maybe that's what's happening. Maybe there is temporarily vortexes popping up periodically throughout our world. We can't see them. We can feel them. We can hear them. Okay. Think about it. You can hear it. What's that sound what's that thing about all the things and animals and birds and stuff and insects going quiet all at once? Think about it. Okay. That could be the temporary vortex opening up and distorting your reality temporarily, causing you to walk through it unknowingly. Okay. And then you realize that you're inside a different area. Things don't feel right. Okay. But once you're in there 5 to 10 seconds, could have been 5 to 10 hours in your own world. And then you come back out of it and people wonder, where the hell were you for 5 or 10 hours or 5 or 10 days? And you come back, maybe your clothing is on backwards. Maybe your time is off. You don't get used to daylight hours anymore or night time hours anymore. Things just don't mesh. Okay. Maybe that's what's occurring. Maybe temporary vortexes that are opening up and causing time distortion and parallel universe distortion, and confusing us. And then boom, we pop out, what seems like I said, 5 or 10 seconds to us could have been 5 or 10 days. And we pop up someplace else. We pop up on a hilltop or a cliff top, where it's just unfathomable to think you could even get to. Okay. Or you come back with clothing on backwards. How many times have we heard that? Or you come back missing shoes. Think about it. There's so many incidences of people's shoes being found in the middle of nowhere. Nothing else, just shoes. You have to ask yourself, why? Got to question everything, guys. That's what this channel's about. Just putting it out there.
We had another question. I almost missed it because I didn't see it in caps. So I apologize, Jonaside. I almost missed it.
Yeah,
but Jonaside said, when did CERN start? When did the Mandela effect start to get noticed? Why does time seem to speed up? Yeah, I know for me, time seems to speed up. Shit.
Well, if you think about it, in 2006, CERN actually started testing their equipment, 2006 to 2007. Okay. And they weren't disclosing it to the public. They were doing these soft disclosures to the public. Okay. And what seems to have happened over time is, since nobody in the population of the world spoke up and said, hey, wait a minute, we don't want you doing this. Our country didn't agree to this. What if you screw something up and you end up killing all of us? See, nobody said that to them. Okay. Nobody even remotely spoke up on your behalf as far as your right to live and survive in this world. Okay. So that being said, what's stopping them? Okay. So from 2006 to 2007, they conducted these tests. They tested the equipment, and they figured, okay, it all seems to be doing what it's supposed to do, so let's go through with it. And then after 2007, they started going full bore. Okay. And then boom, 2012 hits, and unknowingly SHTF happened. Okay. The proverbial shit did hit the fan, folks. Okay. So, if you're looking at some kind of a timeline, genocide, then you want to look at something along that lines. 2006 and on would be my guess. We all thought it was going to be Y2K. Everybody remembers Y2K. Oh, the computers are going to shut down. They can't comprehend 1999 to 2000. Everything's going to melt down. Everybody's freaking out. No, that wasn't it. It was just after that. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, for me, it seems like the days are going by crap done quicker, the months, the years. I mean, it's just freaking flying, just freaking flying by. People will tell you, oh, that's
Yep.
because you're getting older and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't see how you getting older
Yep.
alters how time is. To me, that makes absolutely zero sense. I could absolutely be wrong, but I'm sorry. I think logically,
Exactly.
it don't matter what damn age I am. Time is time. It doesn't change for no man. Only white man or man period believes that they can alter time, and only man believes that there is actually a time. So time is a human aspect. It's not a natural aspect. It's not a nature aspect. It's human, and human only. Think about it.
There's
Birds,
Miriam. Good to
deer,
see
stuff
you,
like
Miriam.
that. They don't carry watches. They don't have clocks. They don't have a digital computer that tells them what time it is. They look up and go, "Hey, the sun's going down. It's about to get dark. Hey, the sun's coming up. It's about to become light." That's all they know. Time is a human created
Exactly.
entity that has to be defined.
And here's another thing to consider too, Eric. And it just dawned on me too. The way my brain works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it just shuts down and says, you know what, we're going to take a break from reality for a while. So I just had the thought, how they're talking about how all the insects are disappearing and all the birds are disappearing, and they're worried about, this, that, and the other thing, pollination of flowers and vegetable plants and all that. And, all these other weird things that are supposedly happening. I've said it before on this channel. I have seen honeybees galore here. I talk to praying mantises every day. I have bumblebees that fly up to me, and they literally hover right there, and they listen to me talk to them. Okay. I have birds I see, hummingbirds, butterflies, all kinds of insects. Where are all these insects disappearing to? Is that a temporal time shift or a parallel universe shift that somebody is currently in, and then boom, all of a sudden they pop out of it and things kind of go back to normal, or at least as normal seems at the time? Okay. What if a lot of these so-called reports of a lack of wildlife, or a lack of this or a lack of that, is because a timeline a parallel universe timeline has ended and that reality shifted to ours. You see what I mean? In other words, we've got reality stacking upon reality time and time again, over and over again, because other parallel universes are dying off because of what possibly CERN has done. It's a theory, and it may be a questionable theory, but it makes you think that possibility could exist. Maybe these timelines are dying off, and those energies from those timelines are coming to our timeline. Okay. Or maybe we're just continually shifting into different timelines until finally we get back to some normalcy. I don't know. I put that out to you guys.
You know,
hey,
it's funny you bring up bees, because I had something interesting happen to me Monday. And I'm not talking about what led into all the crap I had to deal with the rest of the week, but I was out flagging on a road. I was training a new guy how we flag for the company I work with, right? I seen something, multiple of them crawling around on me that I've never seen in my 46 years. And it was a bumblebee, but instead of being yellow and black, it was brown and black. And it didn't have its stinger out. I mean, these things were crawling all over me, crawling in my clothing, stuff like that. And I know they sting because the new guy swatted at one and it stung him in the hand. But I literally was watching this thing crawling on my arms and all this, but they were brown and black. Well, brown, tan, and black. It was the three colors that these things were. Because there was a couple of them that had some tan to it, but most of them were a brown and black color. And I was like, I've never seen a bumblebee look like that here in Missouri. I mean, not in Missouri. I have never seen a bumblebee look like that. And not only that, it was the first time I've never seen a bumblebee without a stinger out. I mean, that thing was crawling. And, of course, I'm freaking out because I'm like, shit, I don't have my hoo-ha sticker if I get stung, and here I've got bees crawling all over me, crawling in my clothing and shit. And I'm like, I'm trying to flag, trying to stop traffic, and I've got all these bees on me. I've just never seen it. It's just weird.
Yep, exactly. I mean, and those kind of encounters aren't unusual either. That's been happening. A lot of people are saying, I for one am a firm believer. Let me get my phone turned off here. I for one am a firm believer that Roxanne, I see Roxanne's comment.
Yeah, I'll get to that here in a second.
Yeah, like the golden black ladybugs.
Yeah, we got those too, which those are actually a beetle. Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
There you go. Miriam knows what she's talking about.
I don't see a comment from. Oh, it hasn't popped up. There it is. Oh, my new hoo-ha here. Bombus gorillicus have brown on them. What the hell is a Bombus gris? Man, I speak hillbilly, Miriam. What's a Bombus griscoleus? However you say that. Yeah, I speak redneck.
Brown and black bees.
We don't have them here in Missouri. That's the thing. That's like I stated.
Anyways,
I've never seen them in Missouri. All we've ever had in Missouri was the yellow and blacks.
Don't be afraid of them, Miriam. Just talk to them. Believe me, they're smart.
No kidding. Yeah, see, I've never had them. Never. I've lived in Missouri for 46 years, and I've never have seen a brown and black bumblebee in Missouri. And I should know because I like honey, and I'm also deathly allergic to bees.
black one?
The what?
There's a blue and a black bumblebee too that's out there.
Yeah, someone was saying that earlier in Florida. I've never seen one of those. You know,
They're
I
actually
like these. They're
Pretty beautiful if you look at them.
I want to see one. Yeah, I definitely want to see one. Now, I tell you what, I've been blessed the last 5 or
Anyways.
6 years and not having a whole lot of allergy issues, but I don't know what it is this fall. Allergies are whooping my ass bad.
Yeah.
I want to see
Yeah.
blue and black ones, man. I ain't gonna lie. Oh, I want to see them.
Yep. They're
But no, I
they're
mean, there's
actually
just
quite
a
phenomenal.
lot
to
of
look.
weird.
They really are.
Wonder what their honey tastes like. Because I mean, I love natural honey. I've got a local bee collector. I mean, yeah, it's expensive. It's $28 for a quart of natural honey, but it's better than that synthetic crap you get from the store. And I use that for allergies,
Right.
and I use it for a lot of stuff, and natural sweeteners, stuff. I mean, I use honey, natural honey for a lot of stuff. And like this morning for breakfast, I had me toast with butter and honey on it. A spoonful of honey a day during allergy season helps. But trust me, I know when I don't take it because it's worse than what it is right now. But I want to tell you, you hearing about this blue and black bumblebee? I want to try that honey.
Yeah. It probably tastes like black and blue bruised honey. Anyways, getting back to that subject matter of the insects and stuff, maybe that is a shift in realities. Maybe that's because the person that's experiencing it had something temporarily open up, some type of a vortex, to where it shifted time and reality for them, and they walked into it. Like even with you on the side of the road with the bumblebee thing. Maybe that's a sign that the bumblebees were afraid of something in that area that might have changed, might have thrown their frequency off, and they felt the need to land down and be safe somewhere until that feeling went away, And, you find that a lot in nature. Okay, you find that a lot in nature. Migratorial animals and birds will their pattern will shift a certain difference in and be affected certain ways when a vortex or some kind of a portal energy opens up. It sends their biological GPS into overdrive, and they get confused and they can't figure it out. So what do? They land to the nearest place they feel safe, and they wait it out. And then once that feeling's gone, they take off again. Okay. That's the same thing that I think is happening when we experience these temporary vortex portals, or whatever you want to call them, that make us shift realities. Okay. And that's why sometimes we're seeing a lack of insects. We're seeing a lack of birds. We're seeing, a lack of this and a lack of that. And things seem a little off. And then boom, 5-10 seconds in that area, 5 or 10 minutes or 5 or 10 hours or 5 or 10 days could have passed while you were in that temporary shift, and it's just a theory, but it's a pretty sound theory if you think about it. The way our universe is connected to everything. Okay. And it's like Native people have always said, what we do to the web, we do to ourselves, folks. Okay. Chief Seattle said it best. Okay. What we do to the web, the sacred web of this life, we do to ourselves, because what we affect in the web causes a ripple effect. Maybe that ripple effect is these temporary vortexes that are opening up, and these people are wandering into them. Some of them reappear several minutes, several hours, or even several days later, perfectly fine, a little bit freaked out. Some of them reappear with clothing on backwards. Some of them talk of certain beings being around them. Okay, maybe they fell into an open vortex, a temporary opening through space and time and parallel worlds because of a parallel universe actually ending. And that energy flux comes to our world eventually in certain aspects, in certain areas, geographical areas of the country that has a high magnetic phenomena occurrence. Okay. Um, Utah's got a lot of that going on. Nevada, Arizona's got a lot of that going on. Parts of Missouri have that going on. The vortex in Montana's got that going on. There's certain areas of our country and our world that are susceptible to being influenced by these incoming energies from these parallel universes that cause people to hear nothing. Things go quiet, things go silent. Every now and then your hair on your arm will stand up and you don't know why. Okay. There'd be like a static electricity in the air and you don't know why. But things are nice and quiet. You don't consider what's going on, and you keep walking, and you're walking into this vortex or this temporary opening through space and time because of that parallel universe dying off. And those energies are shifting to us and every other parallel universe on down the line. Okay. That's why we have these cause and effects of things happening. Okay. That's why we have, like I said, people returning 5-10 minutes later, or 5 or 10 hours later, or even 5 or 10 days later, perfectly healthy, because what seemed to them like 5 or 10 seconds turned out to be a lot longer. And
Kind of like that
maybe
TV
some
show.
of these
Was
people
it
don't
Lost
return at all.
100 or?
Yeah, yeah. And it's just a theory of mine. Okay, it's just a theory. Okay, don't crucify me for it. Okay, but if you consider it, and you consider all connections possibly coming from that theory, everything kind of makes sense. Okay, everything kind of makes sense. You have a lot of these tragic events that are happening. Well, maybe that negative energy from that parallel universe that died off is coming into these people that were once normal and now are, well, young Frankenstein said it best. Now they're Abby normal. Okay. Just a theory. Just a theory. Any other questions?
I think I'm. Yeah, I know. I had a weird dream last night. Man, yeah, I actually remembered this one.
Oh,
What's sad is when I woke up, I was still having that same thought in my mind. I didn't realize I was awake. It was weird.
hey, I want to everybody to wish Shen Valley girl Melissa in the chat a happy birthday. It was her birthday during the camp out, and I know a very, very sweet person brought her a birthday cake, and I saw the pictures, Daniel and David and Melissa. That was phenomenal. That was phenomenal. It made me very happy to see that. And that's another thing too. That's the type of unconditional love I'm telling people to always do. That's the way it needs to be. Okay. So, there's a lot of weird shit happening in our world, guys. And there's certain ways that we can deal with it. And I'm a firm believer that unconditional love is one of those, if not the only way to change the cause and effect of these other realities and universes, parallel universes dying off and those negative energies coming to our realm, okay, or our world. Um, so yeah, I mean, but yeah, happy belated birthday there, Melissa. I'm happy you got to celebrate it out there. That's probably the best, and that's, if you think about it too. I want to bring this up to Melissa and David and the rest of the ECBRO people that are listening or watching. Um, that feeling that you had, that heightened emotional feeling that you had when she brought forth that birthday cake, and all the friends and members of the ECBRO that were there at the time gathered around and partook of that gathering and that celebration of your birthday. Um, the energy from that, the positive energy from that, caused a lot of stuff to happen in your ECBRO campout, and it doesn't surprise me. Okay, it's like I tell everybody every day when they're dealing with the mysterious phenomena, whether it's paranormal, supernatural, or cryptid. You know, you can kind of hold it all in the palm of your hands like a basketball and keep it all together, and you focus that positive vibration out. You're going to have some weird stuff happen. You're going to see orb lights in the sky and in the tree lines. You're going to hear certain sounds that don't sound like normal wildlife. You're going to experience shadow shifts, okay, where you think you saw something out of the corner of your eye, but when you look that direction, it's not there, okay? So when we get that positive energy built up, I think that invites a lot of this activity in. And that's why you guys experienced, some of the phenomena around that time frame. Okay. Energy is energy. Okay. And I've always said that we are made up. Some of us have light soul, some of us have dark soul, and some of us have light and dark soul. Okay. And when those energies combined, it's like the light and the angelic part of the supernatural respect you, and they will abide by and let you do certain things that you are meant to do. Okay. If you're duality soul, and the dark is afraid of you because they can't control you solely. Okay. So when you have duality souls, sometimes those people are a little bit more off. They can say things out of anger, but even out of anger, there's a form of truth coming out of that. It's because their energy, their soul level wants you to avoid something. It's their way, their part of their soul that is trying to shift you away from something. Ironically, it's just like when we talk about the parallel universes dying off and that energy shifting into our parallel universe. Okay. And going on down the line, down each parallel universe down the line. Okay. Everybody gets a piece of it. Okay. And that's why I'm a firm believer that some people that were born in this realm, in this parallel world, were born normal. Were born, you know, not aggressive, not, and others had energies attached to them of the negative nature from these other worlds that have parallel worlds that have died off, that created them into being what they are today, negative wise. Okay. And it kind of makes sense. Okay. And like I said, it's just a theory, but it's a pretty sound theory. And when you speak of vibration and frequency, it's like Dr. Kaku said, you have to consider every aspect of that energy, because that energy it's either going to overwhelm you or it's going to drain you. Okay. You're going to either feel like the Energizer Bunny, or you're you're going to feel like Elmer Fudd. I mean, that's the only way to put it. I mean, if you think about it, that's really the only way to put it. So, when things go silent in the woods, I urge you to stand still, just listen and take a visual. Just look around, just turn around in spot 360, take a look around you and see if anything's changed. See if anything feels a little off. Okay. A lot of people, when they take and they have that happen to them, when they're by themselves, they seem to think that they can hear or see something, kind of like the Predator effect. Okay, like the Glimmer Man. Okay, and I almost want to say that is residual energy coming from a parallel universe coming over to ours, and that is the energy looking for its energy, positive connection to connect with. Okay, so not a demonic possession or anything like that. Okay, just the energy from that other universe that died off coming into the same being in this world, if that makes sense. Okay, so
Oh God, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm messing with Melissa and David's kicking in too. Oh,
watch yourself, David.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Be careful.
Well, you got
Worse
that
than the
look.
scorn anger of a woman.
Oh, it's not a bad one. It's not a bad one. Oh, I'm sorry, Monica. Almost missed that. It wasn't in caps. William, what are your thoughts on a set of stairs in the woods or forest that lead to nowhere and no buildings?
Honestly, that was a subject that Dennis and I, when Dennis was on the podcast as my co-host, we did a big, I think a 2-hour long video about that, and it's pretty good. If you go back into the archives, you should be able to find it on the channel. But yeah, I mean that's not unusual. There's a lot to be said about that. That could be part of the transference of energy from another parallel universe opening up. That could be a warp in the space timeline where you're seeing that, but it's physically not there. That could be physically there in front of you where you could walk up it and it's solid and everything. And you leave and come back 5 minutes later and it's gone. So I mean, it could be really anything. I don't think it's a good thing. I will say that. If you see them in the woods, I would avoid it. Especially if it's stone cold silent, I would avoid it.
Heck yeah.
Now,
Oh.
the one question I have is if anybody wants to come on and talk about any type of supernatural encounter, because we're at the hour mark, and this is the time where I like to bring people on. And Eric can put together the list, and you can come on for 10, 15 minutes or whatever and talk about your supernatural encounter. And even if it has to do with the subject matter of today that we talked about, because the whole 2012 thing just kind of makes sense to me. The whole parallel universe thing kind of makes sense to me too, when it comes to the temporal vortexes opening up and people disappearing. So, and why some of them aren't found and some of them are returned within 5 or 10 minutes, 5 or 10 hours, or even 5 or 10 days, because the time frame in that vortex, as short as it seems, is multiplied time and time again because of the number of parallel universes that's experiencing that temporal disturbance, if that makes sense. Okay. So, but if anybody wants to come on and talk about what they had happen this weekend, David, Corey, Tanya, anybody that's had anything out there that happened, yeah, come on and share it. You don't have to put your camera on. You can just have your microphone on. Okay, but we'll go ahead and try to do that right now.
That was weird. What? Dude, I'm like in the middle of something. No, you can wait. You can wait. Seriously.
I'll put the link in the chat, guys. Corey's not afraid of being ugly on camera.
Yeah, they are here too, Roxanne. Seriously, you can't wait. You can't wait like an hour. Oh. No, you're gonna rip my headphones out. Yeah,
yeah, Josh, I would.
Josh,
I would definitely just keep that under your hat for the time being. I'm still researching what you sent me, Josh. So bear with me. I haven't been feeling that great, but I'm still researching it, the symbolisms and stuff. Okay, so bear with me on that, brother. All right. Even right now, I'm having a bad back spasm. I got to turn the camera off. I got to take a break, guys.
No worries. I know whoever's in charge of my AI matrix needs to reset that shit and reboot it, because my ass is tired of being broke all the time and tired and sore, busy. You know, so whatever. Yeah, he's wanting outside, Monica. That's what he's trying to tell me. I was like, you can't wait an hour. Come on, dude, you're ripping my headphones out. Come on, you're spoiled. You're like, dude, you're not a freaking lapdog anymore. You're way too big to be a lapdog anymore. Quit. Sorry, guys. He's being a pain in the butt. Dude, you're like too. Come on, you're ripping my headphones out. Dude, behave. Yeah, I love you too. Sorry, he's distracting. Come on, man. Does anyone else have new lines on hands? Oh, Corey's in. Yeah, that's what it feels like right now. Unreal. What's up, Corey?
Hey, Eric. Man, I'll just Monica asked a question about the stairs in the woods. Yeah. Stairs are dangerous without the paranormal aspect of them. So if you fall and break your leg and you're hiking by yourself in the woods, you're toast. You know?
Yeah.
And there are stairs left over from old structures and old bridges and stuff like that. And they're old, they're concrete, they're rock. Man, that stuff gets weak, it cracks. You get up there and
Kinda
fall. Not that old, but
Hey, just because he was around when they rode brontosauruses back and forth to work doesn't mean he's old. He's just ancient.
that's what William was, an Indian on a dinosaur.
I told you we don't ride. We made stone automobiles with the floor cut out on them.
That's
Back
funny
in
you
the
say
day,
that, man.
It was,
I had a
it wasn't
great
right.
uncle. I had a great uncle that I spent a lot of time with when I was young, and he'd always say "yabba dabba doo" all the time, you know. And I watched a lot of Flintstones, and I don't remember doing this. I just know his name's Ernest, but all I've ever known him is Dabba-Doo. And yeah, they said, man, do you remember? And I said, no, I didn't even know why I called him that, you know. And yeah, but I called him Dabba-Doo. I couldn't say Yabba yet. But yeah, I mean, I want to come on for a minute and tell Monica, you know, stairs are dangerous. I mean, if you think about it, you go up on a set of concrete stairs or rock stairs you see that's by itself, man, that thing could break in half and come down on you when you fall. And you know, that's before the supernatural aspect and paranormal aspect of the whole thing. You know, the danger level is off the charts just alone before you even consider that that's a trap. And stairs are a trap, either way you look at it. Because yeah, you naturally want, as the little kid in you wants to climb them. Right?
Well, I mean, I don't know how many times I've been in some deep woods. I mean, woods that's not seen human activity very often, and I've came across old structures. Sometimes it's the fireplace that's only remaining. Sometimes it's the foundation that's only remaining. Sometimes it's just the stairs that's only remaining. People forget how long there's been human life on this continent. And I'm not talking about this one. I mean continents across the world, but we're using U.S. as an example because that's where we live. But U.S. continent alone, there was not a single inch of this land that hasn't seen a human being at one point or time. And people forget that aspect right there.
That's what I tell people. This whole planet's a burial ground. You know, where you're sitting right now, there's someone buried under you.
Oh, yeah.
Multiple.
Probably
people.
many people.
Yeah, Eric and I did it a long time ago.
You know, and something I was thinking about one day is when I was young, man, I loved the movie Easy Rider. And I think I got you this clip, Eric, where, you know, you get older and you watch a movie and you notice something that you didn't notice before in a movie. And in the movie, they pick up this hitchhiker, this hippie hitchhiker, and they stop to stay the night at these old structures. And this is somewhere out in either California or Arizona. But this hitchhiker, this hippie tells this guy, hey, man, these people that I'm talking about are buried under you right now. This is their home. You know, you need to be a little polite. We're in their house right now. And he's like, what are you talking about, man? And he goes, they're under you right now. He was talking about the people buried under him from the mud flood. You know, and that was 1969, before I was even born, when they were talking about this stuff in the movies. But I didn't realize what that scene was talking about at the time. You know?
Yeah.
People have known about this for a long time.
Look at this. Y'all remember the old Sinbad the Sailor movies? You know,
Loved
from
them.
the 70s.
Loved them.
I've been watching them again. They're on Tibu or whatever that thing's called. Look at the creatures they had on there. They had many creatures that we said never existed, but they have pretty good detail of every one of these creatures. If you look at the Pyrese map, guess what those creatures represent. I mean, they're on them. The creatures they have in that movie's on the Pirates map. Pirates, whatever you say that. I'm just a hillbilly, but yeah, that thing. Clash of the Titans, another good one, Unreal. Yeah, So but
Jason,
that streaming thingy, T-Boo or something has the Sinbad ones.
Jason and the Argonauts, remember that?
Yeah, not the Argonaut, the Agatros. Jason.
We've got David and Melissa waiting in the background too to come on.
I'm out.
Yep.
So I just want to let them know that just give us a couple seconds and we'll bring you guys on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I told them.
I'm not sure. Well, you don't have to leave, Corey. You can stick around for a little bit if you want. Just it's up to you.
I'll stick around
if I lose the feed, then just know that I'll be back and you and Eric can continue until I come back on. Because I got a funny feeling that some of the subject matter we're talking about, they are going to try and shut me down. Plain and simple, guys. So it's better that I have you and Eric on together right now than not. So go ahead and bring Melissa and David on. I'm going to turn my mic off and just kind of sit. I got this back spasm going on right now, guys, and it's squeezing the air out of my lungs. So you guys go ahead and continue for the next 10, 15 minutes. All right.
All right.
Oh.
So that's what you get for getting old and riding brontosauruses through the prairie, hunting people.
William rode a T-Rex.
I'm a bona fide T-Rex.
Hey, can you see it all war painted up and stuff?
Full headdress. All right, everybody. Let's welcome to the stage, David and Melissa.
That's a dude you want on your side, man.
Yeah, I'm a bona fide Tyrannosaurus Rex.
That's a warrior right there.
Electrical thing.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Hola, ¿cómo está usted?
Bien, bien, este.
Está bien, ¿y tú? Good morning. Wait, no, David.
You guys had an interesting.
I got to fix
Michelle, thank you for the 1999. Michelle, thank you for the 1999 super sticker. You're awesome, man. We appreciate you. So you besides celebrating the
thank you, Michelle.
The hatching day, you guys had some activity going on, didn't you?
Yeah, we went out there to look for Bigfoot, look for signs. We found some, but it was mainly paranormal that seemed to aggravate us this past week. A lot of issues with our electronic equipment, batteries just suddenly draining for no reason and different things.
This one campsite we were at, we've been there 2 times before with nothing happening like that until this time. Go ahead, Melissa.
But yeah, it wasn't happening with just us. It was with our equipment. It was happening with everyone else's equipment also. Camera batteries just draining.
They're coming back.
And then coming back later as if nothing had ever happened. But you could see where it completely was showing that it was drained, and they changed batteries and stuff, and then go back to the other one a few minutes later, and it was fine. Absolutely fully charged again. And that just did not make any sense. I had an experience. David and Daniel and Drew and Craig from Pennsylvania, they all went walking out one night to do a night hike, see if they could find anything or hear anything. And while they were gone, I stayed back at the campsite to man the radios, along with John and Mary that was there with us. I was sitting in my chair. I had my back to the wood line because I was looking at the fire and stuff, and we were talking. And I just all of a sudden got a cold chill, and I heard, it sounded like an animal coming up behind me, and you could hear what sounded like trotting, like they were running. And I really believed it was like a coyote or something was coming up behind me in the campsite, and I jumped up to get away from it so it would not get me, and there was nothing there. But Mary, she reported hearing what she called heavy breathing, but she heard that sound also. She didn't hear the trotting, but she heard the sounds of the breathing. I don't know what it was, but it freaked me out. You know, I'm used to getting touched and stuff, but I've never had an animal come up behind me like that and then there not be anything there. But I wanted to let y'all know that. I don't know what to even make of it. I have not had that experience before.
Besides the hair being pulled by a kinky ghost.
Correct.
One of the things that happened to mine when I was
Ghost
sitting there-
touched me.
when I was sitting there getting my equipment together, my MP3 player came on by itself. And that's one of those you have to hold the button down for about maybe 2 seconds for it to activate. It just turned on by itself.
Yeah.
And then while we were out walking, my radio would key. I mean, I'm not going to jump off the cliff on this, but somebody had did the all call on the radios that we had, and nobody touched their radios back in place. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm eating a little bit wrong.
yeah, that same night, I could not hear David whenever he tried to call in for a radio check when they were out. I could not hear him, but John that was beside us, he could hear him calling. I could respond to my radio, but that was it. But every time
They were the same radio.
he would key the mic, yeah, they were both the same brand. And every time he would key the mic, all I would get was static on mine.
Huh.
And we've never
You
had
know,
that
that's the
happen.
thing I've dealt with.
A lot of electronic. Go ahead.
You know, it seems like every single time I deal with paranormal or supernatural, my equipment gets jacked with all the freaking time. I even keep a GoPro on my chest, and they'll shut that GoPro off that's on my chest. And, you know, I've got a harness that I wear. If you guys watch the intros to my show, that's, you know, me. That's that GoPro that I'm talking about that's on that harness on my chest. All that video on my intros is me on investigations. And they'll shut that off. Or I can have GoPros or a different camera up somewhere else and they shut it off. Or they drain the batteries. That's why I'm constantly keeping you know, I've got a little USB charging port here for everything's USB. I've got another electrical hoo-ha thing, surge protector that I can plug in multiple because I'm constantly having to charge stuff up, keeping extra batteries on my kit because they just eat through that stuff like crazy. And it's always when I'm dealing with paranormal or supernatural.
Mhm.
Eric just said he had a hoo-ha.
Heck yeah.
One other thing I found odd.
Heck
I'm not going to clear my mouth here. I'm not going to jump off the bandwagon.
Yeah,
on
there's
some of
another
this
sugar
stuff. My DJI Action 4 that I do all my recordings and stuff with when we're out there in the woods and whatnot. Been using that for a couple of years. With this, during one of these nights out there when we were out hiking after dark, we went to another campsite that's roughly maybe a half a mile away from where we were at. And I picked up some kind of I want to say interference. It wasn't a bug. I've listened to it too many times. You can hear bugs sometimes coming and off in the distance and come by you, and then it'll get loud, then it'll fade as they fly by. But this one sounded like almost like some kind of electronic interference that I picked up on the audio, and it lasted for about maybe 8 to 10 seconds. You could hear it faint. It got higher in pitch, and then it just stopped, cut off at a high pitch. I don't know what that was. I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna listen to it some more. But I've never had that on my camera before. My son brought out a REM pod, and
I'd like you to send that audio to me, David,
if I could get it small enough that I could send it through Facebook, because they got 100 megabyte thing for Messenger. But yeah, I'm going to work on it. I'd like to send it to you all as far as that, but I need to extract it from the original audio to get that file down just for what we heard. But our son, I had some cat balls. Daniel had cat balls we set out. Those things go off. I timed it roughly 12 seconds before they shut off if they're moved, if they're touched. Daniel's one night, his went off for about 25 seconds. Just wouldn't shut off. And they all work basically the same as far as timeline. The REM pod, I'm not going to put no weight on this, but when I stayed back at camp one night, so Melissa could go on a night hike with them, the lights on the REM pod started to go off a little bit, flicker a couple of times. But I'm not jumping on the bandwagon that being paranormal, because I want to hear the tone where something's got to be real close. And the reason I say that is a lot of people don't realize, especially when they're watching these programs, the REM pod, the lights at the bottom of it, they'll start flickering and stuff, but you don't hear a tone. You got to be careful about radio frequencies. How do I know that? Because when I was sitting there by the campfire in my chair, then we talked back and forth on the radios. Every time I keyed my radio, those lights would flicker. Follow what I'm saying? So I'm not going to put stock in just the lights flickering on occasion, because that could be other radio signals in the area causing them to flicker. I want to hear that tone. I want to hear that tone to where
what hurts
proximity to it to be able to set that thing off with the lights. Step by step. You gotta ask questions. You got to eliminate before you can come to any kind of conclusion.
He wants to know what hurts.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what hurts that REM pod picks up. It may pick up several, but I do know that when I keep my radios to talk back and forth when they're out on the hike, every time they keep that radio within 15 to 20 feet, it wouldn't make the tone, but just see the lights flicker.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just making you aware, just because those lights flicker don't mean it's paranormal on that aspect. Radio frequencies will cause those lights to flicker on the REM pod, not the cat balls. They didn't get bothered because they got to be touched for them to be able to flicker. You have to touch them. The radio would not set them off at all as far as that back. I just want to make people aware about the REM pod. When you're out investigating, look at what you're doing at that time to see if what you're doing is causing that action to happen. REM pod, lights, tone, lights flickering. I can't pay attention to that because of the radio setting them off. Now, if you see the lights flicker and then you get that tone to proximity, you might want to pay attention to that. But I was saying that, make sure ain't no bug on it. That happened one night. Jeremy thought that he was getting communication from the other side.
Yeah.
I walked up and looked at it. There was a little old bug about maybe a third the size of a fly sitting on top of it, fluttering its wings. And every time it did that, he had the sensitivity to sit high to where it set that REM pod off with the tone. So when we use it from now on, we're going to put a camera on the REM pod recording. And if that does go off, I want to make sure nothing is touching that. No insect, no nothing as far as that. If you understand where I'm coming from with that, you got to eliminate the possibilities before you start getting answers on stuff. But pay attention to frequencies. I'm just throwing out there. And when you do the REM pods and make tones, just make sure there's nothing touching that REM pod. If an insect sits on it just for a split second, for the proximity and motion, it's going to set it off. We're going to put cameras on it.
Okay.
Are you done?
I was trying to disable the ringtone.
We're going to put cameras on it when we do that. That way we can rule that out right off the bat. That nothing is touching that REM pod when we think something coming over, trying to communicate, asking questions, whatever the case may be. Go ahead, Melissa. I'm done. I'm eating another part of it.
He mentioned that he stayed back at camp the one night so I could go out on the hike for the night hike. to do investigations. You know, we had voice recorders and stuff, had them running. So we have not went through any of that part yet to see if we've caught anything. But
I got a lot of data to go through.
But before it got completely dark, we went and got a black crow feather, and we got some red ribbon, and we went and hung it up in the tree like you suggested, William. We hung it up in a pine tree.
They're
Near the
messing with
side
the signal
where-
big time.
Yep.
Wow.
Where David and Daniel had seen the ball of light that we have not been able to explain.
Last camp though.
But what's interesting is that we went to another campsite that was over on what's called Hog Pen Road. And it felt eerie from the moment you walked into the campsite. It was completely dark by the time we got there, but it was eerie.
That's where I got my recording.
It just did not feel right. It was putting off strange vibes. But what was interesting, William, is that there was red, shiny ribbon all over the campsite near the fire pit area and stuff. It was just strange that you have us hang a red ribbon, and then we go to a campsite that they've had some issues with, and there was red ribbon all over the ground in different places. It looked like somebody had been there celebrating some kind of event or something. You could see.
Funny you say that, because
I'm sorry.
It's cut off.
it's funny you
Cut
should
off.
say that, because did Daniel tell you about what I told him to do?
Which was
Only about the only thing I seen was when I came back to the house. I seen where you had posted about taking a red ribbon and tying a bird feather up to the tree. I wasn't sure what it was for, but
Exactly.
we did.
now that campsite you're talking about.
That's to ensure that that's a way that my that's a way that my family has dealt with having elementals accept us when we do ceremonies and stuff out in the wilderness, out in the mountains or the forest, especially near water. That's a way that we show our appreciation to the elementals, especially the elementals that are within the trees. Okay.
Well,
Because they are primarily the protectors of the woodland. Okay. So somebody was out there, and I knew from doing my ceremony while you guys were out there that things were going to heighten. And I knew that somebody had placed red ribbon out there at one time. And it seemed like something evil came along and removed that positive connection to the environment there. And that's why I suggested that Daniel get a feather, whether it's a turkey feather, any type of a feather, and tie a red ribbon on it and tie it to the tree closest to where you either saw the orbs, the lights the one time, or put it where it felt the best. You know what I mean? That it would put more of a positive energy out. And I'm telling you guys, the more you do these things the way my people have done it and the way Corey's people have done it throughout all these thousands of years of living here on this land, the more results you're going to have, and the better the results you're going to have. And things need to be done a certain way. And these spirits, these beings, these protectors of the land that we have warned so many non-native people about for thousands of years, that come here and assume that we're just crazy. They don't do it in a good way, and bad things happen. Okay. And it's been my over 60 years of experience of living in this world that you have to do it in a good way. You have to go with a good intent, a good heart, and a clear mind. And when you offer things like that, you're not offering it to the devil. You're not making a a connection to negative energies. You're simply asking them, the elemental spirits of that environment, to help you and to appreciate you being there. And if they want to interact with you, they can interact with you in a good way. That's
Well,
all you're doing. It's kind of
let-
like
let me throw this
Yeah.
out there right quick. Why are you
Go
talking
ahead.
about that particular aspect? The electrical issues that we were having, let me say this first. We know for a fact you don't have power lines around the area.
Yep.
There's nothing generating
Nothing.
powers. The nearest house is like maybe 3/4 to a mile away. As far as that, I can't see them generating enough anything to cause the interference. There's nothing around there that would generate stuff for us to be picking up. It's what I'm thinking. Because we've been at that campsite for the last 2 years. This is the third time in a row. The first 2 times, nothing happened until this one. Then when this stuff started happening before she went out and put the ribbon up and the feathers. That's when we had this activity, and then it seemed like because a couple of nights later was breakdown camp. After she did that, it seemed like it calmed down a little bit. That's what I'm thinking here.
Yeah, because they knew you were there, David. They knew you were there, David, because you went there with good intentions. You didn't go there in a negative way, and that's what brought
Right.
forth that energy, that paranormal activity. And that's what I tell people. You know, I'm not talking out my ass. I'm not talking from just to talk, from experience, guys. I'm talking from 60 years of experience of living with this and dealing with this aspect of life, being Native American. Okay.
And then
I've dealt with this every moment of my life, and nobody seems to understand that or can comprehend that except other indigenous people like Corey.
and then for people like us that we just got into this heavy like it's about 5 years ago, trying to put 2 and 2 together, trying to make things make sense of the way things happen, how they transpire. And then the incidents, I mean, the activity from the electrical stuff prior to them setting that stuff out, things seem to calm down. We had they've been logging back here now, taking down a lot of the deadfall, cutting down a lot of dead trees. And we can't hear them work. They're several miles from camp. But when we were out there in May, they seen us out there, and they seen our sign out there. Daniel puts up a sign, ECBR group, identify in case people want to come by and talk to know where we're at. This time, a logger in his truck stopped himself. We did not stop him, and voluntarily told us about one morning. I don't know if it was last May or last fall when they were back there logging. He would arrive early to wait on the other drivers to show up with their rigs to get the trees. And you heard I'll let Melissa tell that part because she was in direct conversation. But we had somebody stop, voluntarily give us information about strange things. There's stuff going on back here that people are really not aware of. And then during this camp out, we had what we had for the first time with that stuff. And then she did what you suggested for her to do. Things seemed to calm down, not 100%, but seemed to calm down a little bit. Something chased a deer right by camp. Me and Daniel was sitting there. She was already gone to bed. Her and Luna had already gone to bed. And it was like I've heard deer snort all my life. I know what deer snorts and grunts sound like. But this one sounded like it was different. Daniel said it wasn't deer, but like something was chasing it. I don't, anything could chase a deer. But it was hauling ass through the stream bed, and it was gone just like that. But we didn't hear anything following behind it. So what spooked the deer that night? Anybody's guess. I'm just throwing that out there. It's another interesting thing. And because we're sitting there by ourselves about 12, it was running around midnight, and all of a sudden this deer came out of nowhere along the stream bed. You couldn't see it because the stream bed's in like a little gully. It just right on by. We don't know what spooked it. We didn't hear any like coyotes chasing it. Didn't hear anything from like a bear chasing deer because sometimes they will take down deer, especially fawns. So we don't know what spooked that deer, but something did. We didn't because those deer are acclimated to people. You can't go up and pet them. You can't get very close to them. They're still wary of people, but they're acclimated to people. So
Right.
we don't know what spooked that deer.
Well,
But Timbo, that trucker said right.
You know, you know what happened when Melissa put the feathery, she reconnected that sacred hoop. Okay, she reconnected that positive connection to the environment, to the elementals, when she put that feather and ribbon back up in the tree. Somebody unknowingly, either or purposely, removed the original that was there that made that connection special. Okay, so what's happening is that reconnection was made through a positive interaction with you guys doing that there, and hopefully it'll continue to the point where you will start having more and more encounters. So that's just the way of it, and I can't say it enough that when people interact with energies out there, they need to interact with energies in a very, very good way, because if they don't, they're going to have nothing but bad happen. And I've said it thousands of times on this channel and other podcasts. You have to do it in a good way, because if you don't, there's going to be bad results. And my whole purpose of telling Daniel to put that feather with the red ribbon in the and boom, it did help. So, some of the stuff that we indigenous people have done for thousands of years kind of makes sense if you think about it.
A tobacco offering never hurts.
What's that?
What?
I don't speak robot.
A tobacco offering? Oh, is it? Okay.
Tobacco.
Is it bad?
It's
Huh?
It's
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I'm going to get off here.
All right, brother
There you
Doctor.
are.
You too, buddy.
It's bad.
See ya.
We got Soundwave backstage. He was
All right,
finally
brother.
able to
Thank
get
you
on.
for coming on.
Tell them what that trucker said.
Real quick about the trucker. He's the foreman of the entire group that goes back there and gets the lumber. He said he usually goes early in the morning, about a half hour before. That way he gets things set up before his crew arrives. And that morning, back in, I think he said it was May time frame. It was when we were last out there. He said about a week and a half before we showed up, he went out there early. It was around 6 a.m. so he could go ahead and get things set up. And he said he was sitting there waiting for his crew to get there. And all of a sudden he started hearing wood knocks. He would hear a wood knock off to the right. And then he swore that it had to have been like a response. He would hear wood knocks. And this went on, left and right and up towards the front too. But he said that this went on for a good 25 minutes before his crew arrived. And he said that it kind of spooked him.
Another thing happened too.
But he said that there was other things that happened too, but he didn't get a chance to go into it with us too much. But he said there's a lot of things that go on back there in that area that they have seen and heard that nobody has a clue what's going on. And he gave the indication he would like to talk further, but we weren't able to exchange information because he had to get going because he was on the clock, I guess. And of course, we packed up and left yesterday morning, so we weren't able to get with him. But hopefully, we can connect with him because he knows the group, the ECBRO, because he has seen the sign. So I'm sure he can look it up on the internet and make contact with us or with Daniel.
Well,
Way back in the,
I'm just glad.
go ahead.
I'm just glad, guys. That I was just glad that I was able to do something here locally to enhance your all's encounters there, because that shows you that sacred connection. And that's the connection that needs to be made. And that's why I tell you guys, when you go out there, even if you're out there by yourself, take your shoes off and your socks off and curl your toes up into the ground and put forth that positive vibe before you step off into that wilderness, because there are things out there in that wilderness that will unalive you, whether it's beast or normal wildlife. The environment is going to react to your vibration that you put off, plain and simple, okay, as anything will in life. And when I talk about this stuff, nobody seems to really want to listen. And I'm just glad that you guys took the advice, and Daniel ran with it, and Melissa and David ran with it, because that proves to you guys right there that it does work. Okay.
Well, I'll tell you,
And what you're dealing with,
I'll tell you what, with Daniel
you're
right
dealing,
quick.
what you, yeah, go ahead.
No, real quick. I almost lost some train of thought there. I thought you broke out there. Daniel's all these years has pretty much been on just the Bigfoot side. He really didn't think any much about the paranormal and whatnot. A couple of things happened last camp out, but I ain't going to talk about that right now. Nothing major, because he got to listen to what we always talked about and whatnot. Then after this camp out, you can see his mind starting to shift more, not only for Bigfoot, but the paranormal, based on what happened with the cat balls and stuff. We do know there's been history. There's been reports over the years, but we do know that there's been people that used to live back here. Let's build up an old land plot way back, and you can see where it's marked where people used to live. Now that there's some areas that possibly, I know one area that's still part of the foundation that's left. The others, I don't know. Sometime we're going to go back and see if we can locate where those old homesteads used to be. Of course, you used to have farm animals. It's all national forest now. Nothing back here is private property there, as I'm talking about. But with what happened this camp out and him taking those feathers and stuff up there, his mind is starting to shift a little bit. There may be something towards this. And what I'm not going to say on here, he needs to tell it, but you need to message Daniel. But something else happened there too that he told me about, and he didn't bring it up until the following morning. Actually, he sent me a text after we all got back and he got back home. He didn't know how to think. He didn't know what to think about it. He did not know how to present it if he talked about it. But I'm going to leave that at that. I don't know if he wants me to put it out on what happened to him when we were sitting at the campfire. But when you get a chance, just message Daniel and say that I mentioned that something happened to him while we're at the campfire, and let him tell you what happened to him, if he's comfortable to talk about it. I think he will with you, William, on that aspect. I mean, it's nothing major. Well, I guess it depends on how you define major. But something happened to him.
It's major to him.
Yeah. I'm gonna let him tell it. It's not my purview to do that.
That's his place.
Right now, I don't think it's really comfortable. He may not be comfortable about putting it out there for other people to hear, since he's primarily into Bigfoot. Just message him later and let him tell you what happened to him, and then you two can talk about it, and maybe might spur his memory on maybe some other things that might have happened too, as far as that. But his mind is really starting to shift. His mind. But I mean, we're not trying to make it shift. Things just unfold
as well as everybody's. Everybody's mind needs to shift. Everybody's way of looking at and perceiving cryptids definitely needs to shift, because you're dealing with cryptids that are connected to the environment supernaturally. Okay. And yes, my people did bring forth some of these cryptids through ceremony, through prayers, through even curses to say, okay. And, to protect the land, certain parts of the land that we knew were sacred. And has it escalated over the hundreds, if not thousands of years? Yes, it has. But when we did these ceremonies, even when I was young doing ceremonies to protect the sacred lands, whether it was burial grounds or whether it was ceremonial grounds, or whether it was just a special area that we knew had, vortexes in them. Okay, I'll just say it as it is. We did it in a way to benefit our world, to benefit the land, without care to the human aspect of it. Okay, because
Well,
the
what-
teachings that we're taught from childhood is that you walk with reverence for everything. Okay, and
Well,
when you walk
well,
with reverence for everything, you have a more of an understanding about everything, and you can
Yeah.
make that sacred connection. That's why I had you
What-
guys do that.
Well, what happened to Daniel, I want you to mention about it. It wasn't on the cryptid side, it's more on the paranormal side. That's why I want you to contact him and see what he's got to say. And then see if you come up with some kind of conclusion or give him ideas for the next time or how to deal with something like it. I mean, he's not paranoid, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
He's just trying to get his mind wrapped around what he thinks he experienced. And everybody goes through that, especially if something happens to you that's. With everything else that was going on out there, that was just icing on the cake for him to where
Yeah, some people are traumatized.
Yeah, it was unexpected.
traumatized.
He wasn't
Some
sure
people
how
get
to react.
traumatized by those experiences.
Yeah, a lot of people get it. I'm not now. He's not traumatized.
Right,
He's just
yeah.
trying to
Process.
process it with everything else that happened on this camp out. This camp out is one for the books. You're going to hear your sounds, your natural nature.
Well, I
sounds.
will say this. Yeah, I will say this: if Daniel is listening or listens to this later on, his dreams have changed. His state has changed, and he's going to see a lot more than what he expected was out there. Even not being out there, he's going to see a lot more. And it's his whole perspective is going to change. Trust me. And he's starting to open up himself enough to where those influences are going to be able to take part and hold, and he's going to experience a lot more than just the flesh and blood. So, and that's in a good way, not in a bad way. Okay. So if he's listening, expect it in your dreams too. Open yourself up when you go to sleep at night. Ask the universe, ask the powers that be in the universe to give you signs in your sleep. Show you certain things that are here. And they will. So some of it may be frightening that you see, like I see on a daily basis, but you know what? The fact of the matter is, it's like that. Like I said in the beginning of the podcast today, with that Professor Kaku, that Michio Kaku. He phenomenal guy. He makes sense when he talks about the parallel universes and all that being, Bigfoot and aliens could be right in your living room, right next to you. But just because you don't see it is because you don't see it because you're not on that vibrational frequency of that parallel realm. Okay. And it's kind of like that's the same teachings that we have as indigenous people have from birth to death. We have that's why we walk with reverence for everything, because it opens up our abilities to connect with these things supernaturally. And a lot of people can't understand that. They can't grasp that. And a lot of people are starting to wake up to it now and realizing, hey, there's a hell of a lot more here than just the flesh and blood that's going on.
Well, I tell you what, this last camp out's the one for the books on that one. It's I'm just going to say intriguing. We're going to go back out there again next. Maybe we might make some trips in between now and then. Eric, you got any thoughts on what we brought up?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of weird stuff out there, and I agree with William's logic quite a bit on it. You know, we have to pay respect to these things. And if you don't, that's when I've noticed you have a lot of negative reactions. So doing things respectful, putting charms up or whatever it is that you want to call it. I mean, everybody's got a different name for it. You're either going to bring in something good or you're going to bring in something bad. You know, and that's the thing is, and you got to have protection. And if your protection ain't right, if it ain't strong enough, then something evil and more powerful can come in, and that could be like what William was talking, saying with it coming in and shredding, the previous charms that were up, whatever it is you want to call it. Definitely in that realm of possibility. That's like I say, when I get ready to go back on this werewolf investigation, and when I'm getting ready to go over to a certain little area soon, I want some more medicine in my medicine bag because the things we're dealing with in that area, especially with what I encountered on that initial investigation, I don't believe I got strong enough magic to protect me. So, I mean, you have to consider this type of stuff. And it's not just us that's dealing with this. I'm a firm believer Bigfoot and Dogman deal with this as well. There's plenty of Native American, people talking about ancestor watch. Now, they use this very same stuff, several times. I've mentioned it on here several times, and William has too. They learn from us. We learn from them. So if we're doing it, it's a very good reason case that they could be doing that. And is that? Am I saying that's what left them red streamers up that you found it shredded everywhere? No. Am I saying that it's possible? Yeah, it's possible, but it could have been somebody else at that time too. So I mean, this is something we have to consider. Like when I did that video for Corey, that one had a charm around its neck. The one that was trying to manifest. Now, was that a holy man of the Sasquatch tribe that was trying to come out of something, or was it a spiritual side of one? Either way, you can see a charm around its neck of bones and skulls. Bones and skulls is used for charms both good and bad throughout history. So I mean, everything uses it.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, this camp out, we were out there looking for Bigfoot stuff. We weren't not out there looking for the paranormal. So whatever happened became looking.
I just want to
found us. Is what I'm trying. It found us is what I'm trying to say, and then it led into us.
It happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I went out looking for that werewolf.
I just want to thank you guys
something
for
old
coming
and
on.
ancient animal.
What's that? You talk over each other.
So no, it's the lag, guys. I apologize. Something's going on with the internet. We just got like a bad lag between us. So don't worry. It's not your guys' or anybody's fault. It's just a lag on the internet.
All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and jump off of here, so you and William.
I'm going to
continue. So.
Good talking
Thanks for coming on.
Hey.
All right, guys. Thank you for coming on. Love you guys, man.
Love you too.
Yeah, well, I'll catch you later.
All right, everybody. We're going to bring to the stage Soundwave, which I can't do the Soundwave deal. Oh, my deal. There we go. Soundwave, how's it going? Welcome to the stage. How you doing today, buddy?
You got.
All right, man. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Am I? All right, good.
We can hear you good, brother.
The Dave and Melissa show. Jeez. I don't know how to start on this.
That was something, man.
Hold on, let me see if I could turn off the audio.
You start wherever you feel comfortable, brother.
Okay. Well, before I kind of knew about the Bigfoots, I had a funny thing happen at my camp, and usually the outside of my camp is lit up with the oil lantern light, which is kind of like a yellow flame color. I sat in the chair and it was kind of angled facing my vehicle, and I saw what looked like a flickering, like if you were a moth and you were made of mirrors, it was flickering like white, like a strobe flashlight, and it did like an arch over the front of the vehicle's windshield. Then it turned off, did another arch over the top of the vehicle, and then it turned off, and then it did an arch in the back of the vehicle, and then it turned off. It would flicker every time it did this, and at that point, I got up and I said, wait a minute, what am I seeing here? Because when I first saw it, I said, ooh, that's pretty. So that was one thing. I've had some most of the, I guess what we would call paranormal stuff, because that's where we're kind of going at. I've had a few things happen. They're usually far and in between. As far as draining things from me, the only thing I had drained was my key fobs from my truck. I had two of them. They both drained, and I tried to put the new batteries in there, and they weren't working either. And then I found out the Dodge has a key fob that if you take the battery out, you can still hold it next to the button that starts the vehicle. I found that out later, but that was kind of weird. And I was in a Bigfoot location at the time, but generally I don't have anything get drained. I really wasn't the type of person that believed in cloaking or this portal stuff or anything like that, but I feel like I'm being forced to understand this cloaking stuff. I had something weird happen at my house. I had tapping on the metal frame of the screen porch, which was like finger tapping on one side the first time. And it was irregular tapping, like something was trying to get my attention. And every time I went out around the corner to look at this or inspect it, it would stop, like it knows I'm coming. And then nothing really happened for months. You can't see anything out there. And then it came back. Like I think about maybe 2 months ago this happened. And it started tapping on the other side of the metal frame, just like it's like playing around with me to see what I'm going to do. And I'm actually being very cool about the whole thing. I'm finding it fascinating. I get up, I'm looking at it. Every time I got up and out of my chair to look at it, it would stop. So it can see me, but I can't see it. And I kind of say out loud, you know, I want you to stop cloaking. This is getting ridiculous. I'd rather just be friends. And that's, you know, how I'm taking this. And as soon as I thought of that, it tapped really fast on the metal boxes that are against the house wall. And then I guess it left after that. And I'm starting to think these Bigfoots have found where I live in town. And I've heard it, they can find where you live. Then I started having weird dreams. I had a dream like I was being shown, it was very vivid. Them walking through the water cloaked. I could see their foot going in the water. And then I noticed in the dream, I could see where the ground was wet, where their foot went down. And I think I'm being shown how to locate them while they're being cloaked. And then I had another dream where it was brightly lit. And I saw this big green tree. And then I was shown that glittery stuff people were talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's actually a good way for them to communicate with us because we are a low vibrational frequency being. So yeah, that's why a lot of people in my culture we call them either visions or we call them fitful dreams. And a fitful dream is something that you kind of encourage yourself to have. But what you're encountering is more of a communication thing. It's more of what we would call a vision. And it's not uncommon because even Nostradamus had them, Da Vinci had them, and several great, Native American chiefs throughout the history have had them. Sitting Bull for another, Chief Joseph for another, Geronimo for another, so many of them out there have had these visions and have had to have help by the elders of the tribe or the medicine people to help translate that vision. And this is how they communicate. This is the only way that some of these things can reach our minds and to speak to us is through dreams. So there is that connection. You're not far off there, bro. Soundwave. What you got to do is just You got to stay anchored. You got to stay grounded. You got to stay open-minded enough to accept it. And the more you dream, the more clearer it's going to become.
Well, one of the funny things that's happened to me since I'm aware of at least 2 clans of Bigfoots in my swamp area. They're about 10 miles apart of each other. Now that I know, since I got that juvenile face from the Tree X area that I located, which was a really big deal for me.
Uh-huh.
But when you send it out to certain people, you just get crickets back. I'm really shocked about that. But I used to, when I first started having dreams of them, I was like kind of freaked out about the whole thing. You kind of have a hard time sleeping when you first find out this stuff. But now it's gotten to a point where I got so much information about them, so much stories about them, that when I dream about them now, I'm really excited to see them. I'm in my dream, I'm reaching for my camera, It's ridiculous. I completely shifted somehow. I think there are 2 brothers that came to my camp.
Yeah.
I think there's one young one or a younger one that is the one that seems to be intensely interested in me.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was told that by a tribal person.
Right.
So it could be a certain thing where they have to obey certain rules. It's kind of like what one knows, they all know. And I think he's just trying to do it in a certain way with me where he's not violating the rules, or something like that. I had something weird happen at my friend Dan's camp. He passed away, and I hadn't been there in a while. And I parked the vehicle, and I get crunch in the woods. So I have to open the gate, and I kind of know what it is, and we kind of know what's doing it. But I move the vehicle in the middle part of the property, and I get crunch over there, back in the woods. And then I walk to the porch. I grab my beer because I used to drink beer with Dan. And I just really wanted to just sit there and because I hadn't been there in so long, and just have a beer like we used to do, right? So when I'm at the table, I get crunch, and I just say out loud, I am not in the mood for this tonight. I'm part of the past over here, and I just want to relive this. I know my camera can't film good in the dark at all, and they probably know that too. But it pretty much didn't really come out of the woods or anything on that evening. But while I was sitting there on the porch, I started smelling something. It was very sweet. It was kind of there, but not really there. And I couldn't put my finger on it. It would just fade in and fade out. And it took me a while to figure it out. And it was the smell of Dan's cigar that he used to smoke when he was younger out there. And then I kind of said out loud, Dan, if you're here, can you make the air cold for me? Like they say on those ghost things, right? So nothing happens. So I get up and I walk toward the vehicle to grab another beer. And as I'm going back there, my whole back and the back of my legs, it felt like a refrigerator door was open, and I was getting cold all of a sudden. It made me laugh, actually, because I couldn't believe that was happening. So that was a funny thing that happened out there. 2 things the things I could bring up. I've had things where if I lose something now, if I can't find something that I lost, I'll just ask. I swear I don't even know how to say this. I will ask for some kind of help to help me find it, and I've been finding stuff left and right that I've lost for a while. I've had things move in my room when I get really depressed.
I want you to try this too. The same thing that I had the ECBRO team do this past week with their camp out. I want you to try and get yourself some red ribbon. Okay. Get yourself a turkey feather or some kind of a feather and some tobacco. And I want you to take and put it to a tree near, say, like if your bedroom has a tree outside the window, especially towards the head of your bed where your head sleeps. I want you to put that ribbon and that feather in that tree in a good way. I want you to think positive vibes, put out that you're only there to be open to learn about them, okay, and learning more about the connection, the sacred connection that should be, okay. So, and what I want you to do is lay that pinch of tobacco down at the base of the tree. Once you put that feather up in the tree with the ribbon, and say a prayer to say thank you. Thank you for trying to teach me, and I open myself up to being taught. And I guarantee once you do that, your dreams are going to become more vivid than they ever have. Okay. And that is because you're opening yourself up to the forces that are enabling you to have these visions while you sleep. Okay. It's going to make it even stronger. Okay. The ability for them to communicate with you. And it's going to put them at ease because it gives them the feeling, that you respect them enough to gift them something, to make that sacred connection. So I think you should try that, and, just don't forget, do it in a good way, and say a thank you prayer. It doesn't have to be out loud. It could be just, mentally, because believe it or not, a lot of our ceremonies, a lot of people think when Native Americans pray, we pray orally, out loud. And, a lot of times we don't. We sing out loud, or we voice our ceremonial songs out loud. But a lot of times we hold those silent prayers, because we know that when we do those silent prayers and we make that sacred connection to the sacred hoop, that we are envisioning it happening. Okay. We are using our, whether you call it your imagination or not, we are manifesting those things to happen and to appear. And that's what ceremony is all about. That's what praying is all about, for that matter, is making that sacred connection. Okay. And once you make that sacred connection, Soundwave, you're going to be amazed at the stuff they're going to want to teach you.
Yeah, I started a gift inside one location, and the government, I think it's a lady, she put a trail camera in there, and it just seems like the Bigfoot's in that location, the two that are over there, and I know there's two because they would knock back and forth, they bugged out.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they just avoided the whole area ever since. The camera, I think, is for cats because it's so low to the tree. I don't know how long that woman's going to keep those out there, but I've been trying to get a hold of her because I'm curious of what she's got on that camera. I lived in that area for 18 years at the time, in the past.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what she captured on that camera too, to tell you the truth. I really would. But I guarantee she didn't. She captured something that she can't explain. That I guarantee.
Yeah, maybe. They have lost about 7 trail cameras to Park Service. And they emailed me about it, and I said, well, it's got to be one of you guys that knows where you put the cameras out there, or I can't really tell them anything because the government lies to us, and I just want to keep them out of everything.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I understand that. Trust me, I know. I know firsthand. They try to manipulate my channel all the time when we talk about sensitive subjects. So, but I'm sure you all know that.
In some cases, the cameras will be destroyed by the Bigfoots. In other cases, they'll just knock them. If they can point them downward, they'll knock them over. Or they'll just take them if they can. And then there's other situations where they will rip a tree out of the ground, the whole entire tree, and remove it.
Yeah. What do you think, Eric?
I mean, I've seen him manipulate mine. Literally, their hunting area is the same as my rifle hunting area. And twice now, even if I've moved the game cam, I've had to move it to the side where it's not pointing right at the game trail. And you can see fingertips on the lenses that I caught from the game cam of them actually grabbing my camera and moving it. And it looks like big human, fingers. So, I mean, they definitely do that. And why is that? Yeah, my hoo-ha's not working right. There we go. They definitely manipulate them, tear them up. I mean, there's several reports of them destroying them. Yeah. And destroying them or throwing them, or they become disappeared, or and it's not just cryptids that do it. I mean, the human beings do it as well, especially if they're in an area they're known they're not supposed to be in, and they'll do that. They'll destroy them or move them or take them, so that way they don't get caught, being in an area they're not supposed to be in. So, but it is one of those things that does happen.
Well, like with the night vision, I can see the IR light, and it is pretty bright when that camera goes off. So I'm assuming they see that too. I had another weird thing
100%.
happen, but this could be related to tribal. I have a Seminole friend named Ted, and one night it was about 1 o'clock in the morning, and he's out there with some other native guy, and they're in the water, like washing themselves off with soap, because apparently somebody passed away, and it's how they like clean themselves after somebody passes away. And of course, I'm asking him, "What are you doing out here in the dark?" He's cleaning yourself with the gators and everything else out there, and they explained to me what they were doing. So I think about a week later, nothing's happening over there, and I usually park there all the time. We called that the swimming hole. It's where we used to have an airboat ramp, and I'm just sitting there in my truck. I'm in a good mood. I met this new girl, and there's nothing going on, and out of just nowhere, I get this. I guess it's what I never had this feeling before. It was the feeling of dread. It felt like death was right behind me, gonna tap the top of my head and take my life. I never felt that for anything in my entire life. And I knew it was coming from behind my vehicle, and I just basically was telling me, get out of there. Telling me it didn't want me there, it wanted me to leave. So when I left, of course it stopped. But I messed around out there. I was thinking, what is going on? I mean, I'm doing jumping jacks, push-ups. I'm thinking maybe I got into something weird, It felt like when something happens in your mind like that, the scary thing is you can't run away from it. People don't understand. It's in your head.
Oops.
Where are you going to go? I don't want to really ever experience that again.
Exactly.
I'm not sure if I want to experience mind speak if they could do that. So I don't know if that was just an entity, or if that was just Bigfoot doing it, because they seem to be aware of what the tribal people do. The two tribes down here seem to be, they know about them, but they don't seem to want to really talk about them. And in some cases, they're afraid of them. And others kind of like have this live and let live kind of view toward them. But they seem to be aware of it.
Let me ask you this, though, Soundwave. Let me ask you this: is there a certain area you talk about to avoid? Is there a certain area down there? Because that area is probably the most sacred area to that. What I call, well, you would call down that way, you would call it the forest swamp. I would call it mountain people, forest people here where I'm at. Because as far as I'm concerned, are just an extension of another race of being, like any other tribal nation. They have their own system of communication. They have their own system of how to raise their young, everything. And, they have the same principles as most native cultures do around the world, as far as the tribe raising the children, taking care and teaching the children and looking out for the children and the young ones. They have that same belief. And that's why a lot of these times when you're dealing with having encounters, you're going to encounter the elder ones first. Okay. You're not going to encounter the alpha male or the beta male first, or the alpha female or the beta female first. You're going to encounter the elders first and foremost. Then you're going to encounter the young ones. And then the alphas and the stronger ones, the more predominant protective ones of their family unit, are going to be at the very rear, just like the wolf pack, overseeing the safety of the entire clan. And I think a lot of people just assume that the first encounter they have is, since it's a violent one, they're dealing with the alpha. Well, that's not the case. They're probably dealing with an elderly one that has encountered human beings before and has seen bad and good outcomes from intentions, and they know what certain weapons look like, and they can tell what certain facial features look like when you're in the woods and stuff. They can read humanity like a book. They really can. And a lot of times that's why a lot of these hunters out there have bad run-ins with them, because they're getting read like a book. You're doing something in their living room that you wouldn't want them to do in your living room, plain and simple. So, I think if people just looked at it from a Native American standpoint, and just like I've always said, go with decent intentions, go with a good mindset in a good way, enter the environment in a good way, ground yourself in a good way in the environment, and then you're going to only have good things happen. And that's just, my opinion of it. But, over 60 plus years of dealing with it, from my encounters, that's just the way it is. Everything's connected. Everything is literally connected in the sacred hoop of life. Plain and simple.
Yep. Great circle.
Well, a lot of times natives have areas where they just basically drop off the negative energy at. I don't really say that there are places you shouldn't go. Nobody's ever said that there were certain spots you shouldn't go. They have an area that they do their corn dance ceremony, which I believe that the Bigfoot walk to in May, because they do it in May, because it just seems very, very quiet in my swamp as far as Bigfoot activity around that time period every year. And then I realized, they're having their corn dance thing where all the tribe family members get together and they have their ceremony. And that location is kind of reserved for just the tribal people and their family.
What I said. Yep.
So
Pancho, that's exactly what I said. I said the elders you're going to encounter first, and then the young. So that's exactly what I said.
Hey guys, I'm going to have to get off here soon because I've got to
I'm
get this video.
about done. That's about the most paranormal stuff I have to say. I could go on and on and on about the Bigfoot.
Thank you, Soundwave, for coming on. I appreciate it.
All right. I'll let you guys go.
All right. See us.
All right, brother. You take care of yourself. Okay.
Oh,
I know, Eric, you got to leave. I know you got stuff to do, Eric. We're going to end it there, guys. It's been a heck of a show. I want to thank all the moderators today, everybody that's been in the chat. You guys have been phenomenal. Thank you to David and Melissa, Soundwave, Corey, everybody that came on. Thank you, Eric, for being here. Means a lot. And,
Yeah, sorry about yesterday.
question everything,
On Friday.
guys. Question everything, okay? Please. You got that. You got that. You have this. If anybody needs anything, you can reach me in Messenger, and I'll give you my contact email and stuff. It's lakotaman333@gmail.com. All lowercase, lakotaman333@gmail.com. If you can, please share this out, like it, subscribe to the channel, because we talk about all kinds of crazy shit, folks. Okay? We really do. So I'm going to let Eric end it. He can tell you what he's got going on, and we'll go from there. Okay?
Sorry, folks. A needy dog just ripped my stuff out of my ears. This is what I deal with, folks. This is my life right here. This little mongrel right here. This right here. This little guy right here. He's got to be a pain in my butt. Tonight, okay, come on, dude. Just a few more minutes. Hang it tight. God dang, you're getting heavy. Sorry. Sorry. I'm being attacked by a dog, man, alive on the show. So tonight, I haven't had time. I've been busier than a hiccup this weekend. I haven't had time to do the topics. We're just going to do an open discussion chat on the show tonight. I've got to try to get this video stitched together so I can get it released. And, so I want to, I'm going to apologize to everybody. Sorry about not having a show yesterday. I literally was putting both the uppers on my truck yesterday, doing alignment, replaced brake light switch and oil change. Didn't get to my coolers line, so I apologize for not having a show yesterday. I'm going to try to figure out a way to make that up to y'all. But outside of that, that's what I've got going on this weekend.
Oh, Jacob's probably sleeping right now. He's been having a rough time. He's an old boy. So, but all right. Well, as you guys know, we're going to have the same routine. I'm still trying to get over feeling like I was feeling. But I'm glad we did what we did today and last night. So as I always tell you guys, question everything, please. You have that right. Okay. I'm not saying doubt your faith. I'm not saying doubt, science. Okay. But just you have the right to take something and investigate it and research it on your own. And, you can share it with the community. That's what this is all about. Okay. That's why we have these open mic Sundays. Okay. So that being said, I want to thank everybody for being here. Question everything, and we will see you all next week.
Peace, love, and blessings, everyone. Yes, I know, buddy. I love you too. But you're
Through the mist we rise, a force unbroken, with banners high and hearts awoken. The sound of pipes, our war is calling. Like thunderous waves, our duty is falling. Stand tall, together we fight, with courage found in every breath. We'll fight like lions, defy our death. In unity, our hearts shall sing the legacy of warriors through every reign. With battle cries, we forge our fate. In fields of valor, we elevate. As shadows loom, our spirits gleam, Courage found in every breath. We'll fight like lions, defy our death. In unity, our hearts shall sing the legacy of warriors through every reign. As dawn breaks, we know our name.